Hello and welcome back to Nolan Financial Radio. My name is Chris McKinney from Nolan Financial Partners. If you'd like more information about what you hear during our show today, give us a call at 719-210-4242 or visit us online at our website, nolanfinancialpartners.com. And so while at your website, click on our radio page, check out past shows. You can subscribe to our program on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Please don't hesitate to reach out to us with questions or set up a face-to-face virtual meeting. So today we're going to talk about the Secure 2.0 Act. It's a piece of legislation crafted with the goal of improving retirement saving options for Americans. So it includes all kinds of retirement plans. President Biden signed this into law December 29th, 2022. It's part of the broader Consolidation Appropriation Act of 2023. So this legislation piggybacks on, listen to this, Setting Every Community Up for Retirement Enhancement Act of 2019, so which is mostly referred to as the Secure Act.
Okay, I'm going to stop you right there, Chris. We got to stop on that one. How much time and money was wasted, and how many people did it take for them to come up with that acronym to so they could say Secure Act? Here's what they came up with. It's a little bit of a stretch to me.
Sure.
Setting every community up for retirement enhancement. Secure. Yeah. I mean, obviously they come up with the word secure. We want to call this secure. What can we?
Yeah.
And then come up with the words the way it sounds.
but it's good, right? Because now everybody kind of knows what it's about.
It's
securing your financial retirement.
Yeah. It's about retirement. It's about helping you secure it. You're right. I like the Secure Act 2.0. I like that concept.
Yes.
The acronym's a little bit of a stretch still, I think, but but anyway, go ahead. So what are we talking about?
So what we're talking about today is how the Secure Act is going to affect employees and employers, especially small business employers, throughout the next few years. So it started in January 1st, and it's already going to affect a lot of people if they're in retirement. It's going to affect people that are nearing retirement a lot as well. So there are a lot of pieces of legislation to go over. We're not going to hit all of them. We're just going to talk about a few of them.
Okay. Well, this sounds good. And, I'm glad that this is happening now. And I've been good, by the way. It's spring. So that means spring means I can start watching baseball again pretty soon. A lot of my friends just went to Florida to check out some spring training. It's not spring here in Minnesota yet, I'll tell you that. But we got spring training coming up. So that's always fun. But yeah, I think this is a home run topic, to use the baseball analogy, but bump, right? Not only because it means I can start watching baseball again, but
sure.
The Secure Act, we talked about the first one when it came out, 2 or 3 years ago?
Yeah.
A couple of years ago is all, I think. An update is certainly in order, and this one seems to be much better from what I've heard. We'll find out today. You're going to tell us what's in there.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's an important subject for everyone out there because whether you're retired or you're planning for retirement, there are a lot of changes in here, aren't there?
Yeah, there are. And interestingly enough, Tony, the Secure 2.0 Act was a priority for many members of both the House and the Senate. It was bipartisan support throughout the negotiations. So there were sponsors of the House included 55 Democrats and 44 Republicans. And over in the Senate, sponsorship included 6 Republicans and 5 Democrats.
That's huge.
Everybody was on board. It's a meat and potatoes legislation that's free of all the political squabbles. It's good for businesses, whether they be large or small, and it's good for people.
Yeah. And hey, anything that can lower the political temperature, right? And get people working together. I think that's great. That's a good sign. It can happen to accomplish good things to help people, right? That's
right.
good. That's good news for all of us, really.
Right. And so it had three main objectives, and these main objectives are I wholeheartedly agree with. Nudge people to save more money for retirement, which I harp on in every meeting, right?
Right.
We improve retirement rules. Hey, that's great. I like that. And then reduce employer expense of setting up retirement plans. I like that too, because I
Yeah.
help employers set up retirement plans for their employees. It's really great for small businesses when they set those up. We kind of specialize in that area. So we can help people get into better retirement plans than they're currently in, that have less fees. And we could also help them get into retirement plans if they don't have one at all, and start out
Wow.
small and grow it, right? And
Sure.
that's how you do it.
Yep.
Start small. But
Yeah.
some of the components of this new legislation went into effect on January 1st this year. So other provisions are going to start in 2024 and 2025 and beyond. So all told, the new legislation includes 92 retirement savings provisions. That's a lot. We're not going to cover them all here today.
We're not
No,
going to get through all 92, Chris.
no.
If you tried to go through all 92 at some point, our listeners would be just conked out, right? Checked out.
Change that dial, man.
They would have to check out at some point. But no, there's so much in here, though, that's good. We're going to cover a few of the main things, and
Yeah.
we're not going to get through all 92 today, but
No.
are there any that jumped out at you?
Yeah. So one that's kind of a big one is that this is going to, in 2025, require employers to automatically enroll eligible workers in new 401k or 403b plans. And so their participation amounts are going to get bigger. They're starting out at 3% and no greater than 10%. And then that contribution rises 1% up to a minimum of 10% and a max of 15. So these contribution rises are going to affect some of these employers, but employees can still opt out of everything. That you don't have to do it, but you'll be enrolled in it automatically. That way, when you start, when they start a new plan, that way you're not leaving people behind because they just didn't go down to HR, right?
Right. They
And
didn't
so,
go in. They didn't go into
yeah,
the computer where they're supposed to and opt in.
right.
They might forget to opt in or not, think about it. I think that's great. Obviously, that's huge because
It,
people need to participate. And I like the fact that they are automatically enrolled. I wish that
yeah,
had been the way it worked when I got my first full-time job, because I didn't pay any attention to putting money into the 401k. And
yeah,
had they automatically done it, I probably would have just, not taken the time to opt out, and I would have had some forced savings then.
right. Well,
Yeah.
so here's what people do, and it's kind of a psychological deal, is so if they didn't opt in when they first started a job, their spending expanded to the amount of money they were making,
Right.
right? And so now they get
It
down the
expands to your
road.
take home.
That's right.
Their spending expands to what they bring in.
So
That's usually what happens to most of us.
and so now you have fear of that loss of that income if you start that retirement plan and start contributing to it. And
Yeah.
so, but if you never had it, then it's okay. It's usually
Yes.
usually your spending plan will fit inside your take home if
Yes.
you will let it.
Yeah, you can make it fit inside your take home. It's just
Yes.
will you?
Right.
You can. You
Right.
can, right? And that
Yes.
is where you and Tara come in. I mean, Chris, you help
Yeah.
people with this all the time.
Yeah.
Live within your means and
Right.
save for the future. That's key. And you'll make money. The way to earn money is take that extra money. You're not going to make money on the money you spend. You're going to make money on the money you save. And that's how
Right.
you make money by working, but then the money you earn from working, do you want that to grow and earn money and make money for you? Yes.
Yeah.
Rather than spend it on things you don't need. So I agree with you wholeheartedly there, Chris. And I'm not, I'm preaching to myself right there, because I've been guilty of that, not living within my means. And that's where you
Yeah.
get into trouble. And so as we get older, we learn that. But I'm like, man, if I'd only done this sooner, right? I bet you
Keep
hear that from people that come in. I wish
right.
I'd talked to you 40 years ago, right? Or 20 years ago or 10,
Oh
right?
yeah. Oh yeah. I have people that come in a year away from retirement and like, okay, give us a plan. I'm just like, oh, okay, we'll do it. We'll get it done and it'll be good. But it could have been a lot better if we'd have started 10 years ago.
Yeah. So this employers can incentivize participation with financial rewards, but small businesses can opt out of this. They don't
That's
have
right.
to participate. Larger businesses should participate in the auto enroll, and that's what they're putting into this bill. I think
Right.
that makes sense. And I mean,
Government, some exempt companies also as well, churches and things like that.
Sure, sure. Well, and I think this is this is a great reason to make an appointment with somebody like yourself, Chris, a financial services professional. I mean, even if you feel good about your current financial strategy, it's not a bad idea to see if this legislation may be reason enough to make some adjustments, right? Or
Right.
get a second opinion on where you're at.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, and so if they wanna get that a second opinion, they should give us a call at 719-210-4242. You can check us out at our website, nolanfinancialpartners.com. We're offering a complimentary consultation if you call in and mention that you heard this on the radio show. That's 719-210-4242.
All right. So what's another big change that this is rolling out that you want to talk about, Chris?
So this is a really big one for our retirees. The required minimum distribution or RMD rules are changing. So previous to this year, that age was 72, but on January 1st of this year, those move up to 73, and then in 2033, it moves up to 75. So what RMDs are is when you have money in a 401k or personal IRA, some type of qualified plan that is owed taxes to the government, you have to start taking that money out of that plan through a complicated table that we can help you with. Um, and so you have to have that distribution so you pay those taxes. The government wants their taxes eventually. But
Right.
guess what? We're living longer, so they're pushing that age up to reflect that we're living longer so we can keep more of that money later in life and stretch out our dollars later. So that's
Mhm.
a nice thing.
Yeah, that is a good thing. So RMDs, we talked about these quite a bit on past shows, required
Mhm.
minimum distributions. It's interesting because it wasn't that long ago that they were 70 and a half, and they were 70 and a half for a long time.
Long time.
That was the age at which the government made you start taking distributions of a certain amount out of your tax deferred plans like 401ks, IRAs, things like that.
Right.
403Bs. So
Yep.
not long ago, with the first Secure Act, it bumped up to 72. And now already it's 73.
Yeah.
So, and in a way, this is good because it gives more people more flexibility. Anytime you have to do something rather than you're taking it out because you want to, I
Right.
think it's good that they've bumped it to 73. However, um, it can be there can be a negative there too. I've heard, right? Because some people might end up in a worse tax situation if they wait too long, because eventually they'll have to take that money out and it'll be
That
taxed, right?
that's right, and so we help people create a plan so that their taxes are more predictable throughout the retirement.
Right, right. It might be a
Um,
good idea to spread distributions out over a longer period, right?
right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
And then take advantage of, the current tax code, take advantage of the current size of your bracket and those kind of things. We have some systems that can help define what those are and what exactly to take so that you don't get hit with the higher tax rates on those.
Yeah, that's good. And I know you work alongside tax professionals to help your clients, and you guys look at the big picture in the future, whereas most people, CPAs, they're just looking back at last year's taxes. But you really have to look ahead on these things. And there's a
Yeah,
lot that's tax related in this Secure Act 2.0, like RMDs. But you're right,
sure.
this is a positive. Bumping up that RMD age is a positive for a lot of people who didn't want to have to take that. So
That's right.
what's something else that
S-
they need to know?
So so here's the other thing, and if you work with me, this will not happen to you, but they have changed the way they penalize people if they forget to take their RMDs. They're moving it down. It used to be a 50% penalty, really
The
high.
highest, and I've heard that's the highest penalty in the
Yes,
government tax code is
it is.
50% for missing an RMD.
So if
In
you're
other
supposed
words,
to
if
take out
you
$10,000, there's a $5,000 penalty in
plus
2022,
in addition to paying the taxes on what you
in
take
addition
out.
to paying the taxes, right?
Wow.
And and then, they're knocking that down to 25%, and
Not great,
so
but still way better than
yeah,
50.
better. But guess what? There's more. So, uh, the tax may be reduced down to 10% if you correct it in a timely fashion. So
So the
if you find
penalty's
out
only
about it,
10% if you
yeah, down to 10%. So if you correct it 10 to 10%, that's that's not bad. That's nice for our retirees that,
yeah.
if they, for some reason, their financial advisor's not around to help them, or they just forget, uh, that that's great that they're gonna not penalize them so harshly.
Wow. Wow. So, is there before we take a break and let our listeners know how to get a hold of you,
Yeah.
is there anything else you want to talk about in the regarding this?
Well, so there is a section that talks about pre-death RMDs. So if you have an employer-sponsored account that was in a Roth, then you had to pay RMDs on it, and so they have removed that provision.
Oof.
This doesn't
That thank
affect
God. That's good.
it doesn't affect a lot of people because most people, in that age group don't have 401k Roths, okay?
Right. But people
So,
do have 401k Roths,
they
and
do
and
now.
it can happen, and more
That's right.
people are getting them, and maybe
Yep.
they still have one. And the fact that there were RMDs that you had to take on a Roth, any type of Roth account, Roth IRA or Roth 401k,
That's
doesn't make sense
doesn't make sense.
because you
Yeah.
don't pay. Why would they make you take withdrawals on something that they're not going to get taxed? The
So
whole purpose of RMDs is so they can collect the tax.
they fixed the glitch. This was a
Yeah.
glitch in the
Yeah, that
code.
was a glitch in the first one.
So
Right.
they just fixed that
Yeah.
glitch.
Well, this is a lot of good information today. So, what if our listeners out there are feeling overwhelmed by what they're hearing? Because we're throwing a lot out there.
Yeah. So we are. So they can reach me at 719-210-4242. We can go over what things affect you in the code, whether you're an employee or an employer, how these kind of things would affect you. We can help you dig into the code and take a good look at that. Um, so reach out to us at 719-210-4242.
All right. And for our radio listeners who might be driving, listening to the show, what's the web address they can go to?
So go to nolanfinancialpartners.com. You can reach us through the website, through the contact us web page, or you can go out to the radio page and listen to more shows to get to know us a little better before you hit that contact us button.
Yes, sounds great. And I think that's so important. And you're offering a complimentary consultation. They can sit down with you
Yeah,
or call you and ask some questions, and there's no cost or obligation to that.
that's
I
right.
would encourage our listeners to do that. And if you're listening out there and you own a small business and you'd like to set up a better employment, maybe a benefit package for your employees. I know you talked about that earlier. That's something you do, is set up 401k plans and retirement savings plans for small businesses. So
That's right.
that's awesome. Well, let's keep it rolling. The Secure Act 2.0. We're talking about that and what it means for people who are currently retired or maybe planning on retirement. What do you have for us next?
So the next kind of category of things is catch-up contributions. So there's some catch-up contributions for people over 50 due to cost of living adjustments. So you can get that. The provision goes into effect this year on December 31st. So not till the end of this year.
Sure.
There's also catch-up limits have been increased for 401k, 403b, and 457 plans between ages 60 and 63. So it's a really narrow window. So it's the greater of $10,000 or 150% of the standard catch-up amount of that year. So that begins in December 31st of 2024. But if you know about that in advance, you want to plan for that so that you can take more money out of your salary between age 60 and 63 so that you can get that money into a qualified area in the tax code so you can use that money for retirement and extend that money out. So that's something that's good to know so that you can plan for it, that you're going to take that out of your income if you hit those certain age groups. So it's very particular to some people that are going to be in that area. So I'll be reaching out to my people that are going to hit that, because that's a great way to add a lot of money to, you can get $30,000 to those plans.
Yeah,
So
that's huge. I
good.
mean, that amount, increasing it by that amount too, I think that's really good. The more people can sock away, the better.
That's right. And I've got some clients that some of the business clients have simple plans, and those limits jump up to from 3,500 to 5,000, and then it's also indexed for inflation, so it'll continue to evolve and change. That's a great thing that they're just tying it to inflation, so people
Yeah.
can
Why
actually
why
know it.
why that wasn't done in the
Yeah,
first place is great.
another glitch.
Yeah, they're fixing a lot in here, and this is good. And so far, it's all good. Usually, when this type of thing is released, we talk about, oh, it does this. This is helpful for a lot of people. This is helpful for some people, and then they do something that's this is horrible. This makes
Yeah,
it
yeah,
worse for all of us, right?
right,
Right?
right.
Isn't that usually the way these things work?
Oh,
But
totally.
so far, so good from what I've heard about the Secure Act 2.0 and what you've told us today. Um, what else do you have for us regarding this?
So there's another section that talks about the annual deferral limit and catch-up contributions at age 50 for simple IRAs and 401k plans. So it goes up 10% for employers with 25 or fewer employees. So if you've got more than that, 26 to 100, it's 4% matching or 3% contribution. So higher deferral limits the for the employee if the
Yeah.
employer provides those.
Yeah.
So that's the key thing to know. So there's some higher limits. You can put more money into simple IRAs and 401k plans in these small businesses. So if you're a small business and you have something like that, check with your financial advisor to see what you can do there.
Yeah, exactly. Pick up the
Yeah,
phone. Chris, they can give you and Tara a call to talk about that.
that's right.
And one of the things I've heard about the Secure 2.0 Act is that it also includes additional access to retirement funds. Can you explain that to us?
Yeah, so this is kind of complicated. It kind of depends. Usually it's for emergency purposes. So you can take out $1,000 annually for emergency expenses from your retirement savings, um, whether it's personal or family expenses due to an emergency, and there will be no withdrawal penalties. Now, you'll still
So
have to
you
pay
avoid that
taxes on it.
10%, you avoid that 10% early withdrawal
Yeah,
penalty. Of course, you
yeah.
still have to pay tax on it because
Still have to pay tax.
it's on subject is income. But
That's right.
yeah. So I could pull $1,000 out if we have a medical emergency or something like that, or somebody
Right.
goes into long-term care or something. You can pull that money out for a family emergency without getting the penalty. When does that take effect?
That takes effect next year. So
Oh,
after
okay.
January 2nd next year.
Okay.
So a
Why they
lot of
didn't make it immediate, I don't know, but
I don't.
that's
Well, it
yeah,
gives people time to
administration.
plan, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because they've got to get set up that they got to set up that provision in the plan and create the forms so
Sure.
everybody can get it done.
Yeah, true.
There's also you can set up a Roth emergency savings account worth as much as $2,500 per participant beginning January 2nd of 2024. So you
Wow.
can that's $2,500 you can basically put into a Roth that you then can invest and save money inside a Roth. You can use it for emergency savings. If you don't use it for emergency savings, then when you separate from the company, then that Roth just becomes a personal Roth. We can
Right.
help with that.
But the idea, that's $2,500 more of tax-free
That's
money
that's
with
right.
no penalties for withdrawal is what they're
No.
saying.
And
That
no taxes on it. So if you
Yeah,
do
no
have an
taxes.
emergency, you can get money. So you have
Pay
a health
that
emergency.
pay
Oh,
pay for an emergency with tax-free money,
yeah,
that's growing tax-free. That's huge. I
that's
just
big.
that's awesome that you can
I
access before you're 59 and a half with
I
no
would encourage
penalty.
everybody to look into that. That
I
I
bet
think
everybody will do that. Once that's made available to people, if it's made available by their employer or they have an opportunity to do that, that
right.
seems like a no-brainer, right?
That's right. It is a no-brainer, and they
Yeah,
should do it.
yeah.
So there's also some extra provisions for survivors of domestic abuse. And there's provisions for survivors of federally declared natural disasters, if you're in one of those areas, where you can get money without having any penalties. You can take out those withdrawals, and it just comes out as income. Um, so you can look at those provisions and see if they affect. Will provide you some money and some help being able to draw that extra money out.
That's
I don't want to
huge.
go into too much detail because there's a lot of
Well, sure.
caveats and
Yeah,
things
and
with that.
if people have questions or want to talk about this, they can just call you. And
That's
I
right.
mean, it's amazing how complex and detailed this kind of legislation can be, but that's
Right.
why you're here. We're out of time for today's show.
Oh,
It flew by. So one more time, give that phone number out a couple of times and your web address.
well, thank you, Tony. Yeah, that phone number is 719-210-4242. Give us a call. We're offering complimentary consultations for anybody that calls and mentions the radio show. We'll set up a meeting or a meeting at our office downtown Colorado Springs. You can also check us out at our website, nolanfinancialpartners.com. You can contact us through there. You can check out our past radio shows to get to know us a little better if you want to do before you come in. But give us a call, contact us through the website. It's a really neat website. We're really proud of it.
Yeah.
So go out and look at it.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Chris. And listeners, that does it for today's episode of Nolan Financial Radio.
Join us again for our next episode. Have a great week.